Why saving money is quietly keeping you poor. You're doing everything right. You wake up every morning, you go to work, you skip the expensive coffee, you skip the weekend trips. Every single month you move money into your savings account, and you feel good about it. You feel responsible, disciplined, like someone who actually has their life together. But here's the thing nobody tells you. That feeling of doing the right thing might actually be the reason you never build real wealth. Stay with me. Because what I'm about to show you completely changed how I think about money. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let me ask you something a little weird. What if your savings account is actually costing you money right now? Not in fees, not in anything obvious, but in something far more expensive, something called opportunity cost. Now I know that sounds like a finance textbook term, but I promise you, by the end of this video you're going to understand exactly what that means, and exactly what to do about it. Picture this. It's a random Tuesday. You open your banking app like you always do. You look at your savings balance, $10,000, maybe 15, maybe even more. And for just a second, you feel proud. Then you scroll down. Interest earned this year, $42. $42 for an entire year of discipline, an entire year of skipping things you wanted, an entire year of doing the responsible thing, and the bank rewarded you with $42. Meanwhile, someone you went to school with, maybe not even that careful with money, started putting their savings into the stock market a few years ago, and they're sitting on returns that feel almost unfair. So you start wondering, am I missing something? Is there a smarter way to do this? Yes, there is. And it's a lot simpler than you think. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact step-by-step path from being a disciplined saver to becoming a confident investor. No complicated strategies, no financial jargon, no pressure to risk everything you've worked for. Just a clear, honest breakdown of why saving alone will never build real wealth and what to do instead. By the end of this, you're going to have a framework you can actually use. Starting this week, we'll come to the wealth game, and we have spent years studying how ordinary people build extraordinary financial lives, not through luck, not through inheritance, but through understanding a few critical principles that most people never learn in school. And the number one principle? Knowing the difference between protecting money and growing money. Let's get into it. Here's the uncomfortable truth about saving money. Saving is not a wealth-building strategy. It's a wealth protection strategy, and those are two completely different things. Saving keeps your money safe. Investing makes your money work. Think about that distinction for a second, because most people treat their savings account like a finish line, like once they've saved enough, they've won. But in reality, savings is just the starting line. The real race, the actual wealth building, begins when you move from saving to investing. And here's where it gets interesting. Because the gap between savers and investors isn't just financial, it's psychological, it's emotional. And once you understand that gap, the whole game changes. Let's look at the math, because numbers don't lie. Imagine you have $10,000 sitting in a standard savings account, earning 1% interest per year. And honestly, that's generous. Most accounts pay far less than that. After one full year, you have $10,100. Now imagine that same $10,000 invested in a simple diversified index fund, earning the historical average of the US stock market, which over the long term has averaged somewhere between 8 and 10% annually. After 1 year, $11,000. Okay, the difference in year one isn't dramatic, but this is where most people stop doing the math, and that's exactly the mistake. Let's zoom out. 20 years. That same $10,000 in savings at 1% grows to roughly $12,000. That same $10,000 invested at 8% annually grows to approximately $46,000. Same money, same person, completely different outcome. $34,000 of additional wealth, not from working harder, not from making more money, just from understanding where to put the money you already have. That's compound growth, and it happens automatically, quietly in the background, while you're just living your life. But here's what nobody talks about. The real reason most people never make this transition has nothing to do with math. It has everything to do with fear. Think of it this way. Saving money is like keeping seeds in a glass jar. They're perfectly safe. Nothing can harm them. You can see them every day. You know exactly how many you have. But seeds in a jar don't grow. They just sit there, protected, but frozen in time. Investing is like taking those same seeds and planting them in the ground. At first, it looks messy. You can't see what's happening beneath the surface. Some days the weather is bad. Some days you're not even sure if it's working. But given time, real time, those seeds become something the jar never could. They multiply. They compound. They grow into something far bigger and more valuable than the original seeds ever were. That's the difference between saving and investing. One preserves. The other transforms. Now, before I give you the step-by-step path, I want to share something that most finance videos completely skip over. A mindset trap that keeps smart, responsible people stuck in the saving stage for years longer than they should be. I'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's build the foundation. Step 1. Build a real emergency fund first. Before you invest a single dollar, and I mean this seriously, you need 3 to 6 months of your living expenses sitting in a savings account. Not in stocks, not in crypto, not in anything that fluctuates. In cash, liquid, accessible. Why? Because the number one reason people panic sell their investments is because life happens. A medical bill, a job loss, a car breakdown at the worst possible time. And when you don't have cash reserves, you're forced to pull money out of your investments at the absolute worst moment, usually when markets are already down. Your emergency fund isn't just a financial cushion. It's the thing that protects your investments from your own emergencies. It gives you the ability to leave your money alone, long enough for it to actually work. If you don't have this yet, this is your first move. Everything else comes after, once that foundation is solid. Then, and only then, do you move to step 2. And this is where most people overcomplicate things. Step 2. Separate your money into 2 buckets, mentally. Here's a simple framework that will reduce your financial anxiety dramatically. Bucket 1. Safety money. This is your emergency fund, your short-term savings, money you might need within the next 1 to 3 years. This bucket doesn't move. Its only job is protection, not growth. Bucket 2. Growth money. This is money you don't need right now. Money you won't touch for 5, 10, 15 years. This bucket's entire job is to grow. And because its time horizon is long, it can absorb the ups and downs of the market without threatening your security. This mental separation is powerful, because when you know your safety money is secure, watching your growth money fluctuate doesn't feel terrifying anymore. It feels normal. It feels like part of the process. Let me tell you about someone, let's call her Maya. Maya was 28 years old, steady job, saved faithfully every single month. By the time she turned 30, she had $14,000 in savings and 0 investments. She told herself she'd start investing when the time was right, when she had more, when the market calmed down, when she understood it better. Sound familiar? At 30, a friend finally convinced her to just start, small. $100 a month into a simple index fund, no complicated strategy, no stock picking, just consistent automatic investing, every single month. She kept her emergency fund separate. She didn't touch her investments during the market dip in year 2, even though it was deeply uncomfortable to watch. By the time Maya turned 45, that consistent $100 a month, $18,000 total, contributed over 15 years, had grown to over $60,000. She didn't do anything extraordinary. She didn't pick winning stocks. She didn't time the market. She didn't have a finance degree. She just started, and she stayed consistent. That story is available to anyone willing to follow the same path. Stay with me, because the next part is where I'm going to tell you something about market crashes that sounds completely backwards. But once you understand it, market downturns will never scare you the same way again. Step 3. Start small and stay consistent. Here's the biggest misconception about investing. People think they need thousands of dollars to begin. They don't. Most brokerage platforms today allow you to start with as little as $1. Some allow fractional shares, meaning you can own a piece of any stock or fund regardless of its price. The amount you start with matters far less than the habit you build. Because investing isn't a one-time event. It's a practice, a discipline, a system you run every single month, regardless of what the news is saying, regardless of how the market feels, regardless of whether your coworker is panicking about a correction. Set it up, automate it, and let time do the heavy lifting. Step 4. Keep it simple. This is where I want to save you from a very common and very expensive mistake. When people first get interested in investing, they get overwhelmed fast. Individual stocks, sector ETFs, options trading, cryptocurrency, day trading. There are 100 ways to make investing feel like a full-time job, and most of them underperform the simplest strategy available. Index funds. An index fund is a collection of hundreds, sometimes thousands, of companies bundled into a single investment. When you buy one share of an S&P 500 index fund, you're effectively investing in 500 of the largest companies in America all at once. You get automatic diversification, low fees, exposure to the overall growth of the entire economy, and historically, most actively managed funds, run by professional investors with entire research teams, fail to beat a simple index fund over the long term. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors who has ever lived, has publicly and repeatedly said that for most people, a low-cost index fund is the single best investment available. That's not a beginner's strategy. That's the strategy. Simple works. Boring wins. And here's the insight that ties all of this together. The most powerful investing strategy in the world isn't about finding the right stocks. It isn't about perfect timing. It isn't about special knowledge or secret connections. It's about time in the market, not timing the market. Every year you delay starting costs you more than any single investment decision you will ever make in your life. Because every year you wait is a year of compounding you can never get back. A 25-year-old who invests $200 a month will almost always end up wealthier at 65 than a 40-year-old who invests $500 a month. Here's the truth I want you to walk away with today. Saving money will give you security, but investing money gives you freedom. Security means you can handle emergencies. Freedom means you can make choices. Choices about your career, your lifestyle, your time, that most people never get to make because they're financially trapped. The path from security to freedom isn't complicated. It's not reserved for people with finance degrees or large incomes or special connections. It's available to anyone who understands the difference between protecting money and growing money, and takes the first step. The people building real wealth right now aren't smarter than you. They're not luckier than you. They just started, and they kept going. So let's bring it all together. Step 1. Build your emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash. Non-negotiable. Do this first. Step 2. Separate your money into safety money and growth money. One protects, one grows. Both are necessary. Step 3. Start investing small amounts consistently. The amount matters far less than the habit. Start with whatever you can. Even $50 or $100 a month is enough to begin. Step 4. Keep it simple. Index funds, low cost, diversified, historically powerful. You don't need anything more complicated than that. And step 5. Think in decades, not days. Give compounding time to do what it does. Stay consistent even when the market is uncomfortable. Especially when the market is uncomfortable. That's the path. It's not exciting, it's not flashy, but it works. And it works for everyone willing to follow it. If this video helped you see saving and investing in a completely new way, hit subscribe right now. Because every week I break down exactly how to build real wealth without a finance degree or a trust fund. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, where are you right now? Still in the saving stage? Just starting to invest? Somewhere in between? Because the single most important moment in your financial journey is the moment you decide to stop saving alone and start growing. And if you're watching this right now, that moment might be a lot closer than you think.